Hey guys, it's time for week 9 of the NHL Power Rankings. And to get us started, we'll jump straight in. Jaden's going to start with his pick 32 for this week.
Yep, 32, new 32, Vancouver Canucks. Just going to go a little bit faster this week just because of technical difficulties I've been having. But yeah, 3-6-1 in their last 10. They just haven't looked great. It's been a very slow and miserable decline for the Vancouver Canucks. And yeah, they warrant a 32. Their players warranted it. And I can't see them escaping it at the moment, especially when, there's conversations between managers about Quinn and trades. Obviously, it's not far yet, but yeah, it just doesn't look like anything's going to get better for them anytime soon.
And they're one of the only teams talking about a fire sale basically on all their players as well, which is never a good sign.
I mean,
All
yeah,
right.
Nashville's going to sell some, but yeah,
Yeah, but they're the only two teams talking about
yeah,
that right now. So that's a terrible sign for a team. So, all right. And speaking of that team, no Nashville, you haven't moved up the rankings massively. You are at 31,
me too.
albeit much better performance from Nashville as of late. I think they're 5-5 in their last 10. They went 2-1 this week, but yeah, that start was horrible. They've looked so much better though, and if they continue to push in this direction, I can see them going back up. Can they save their season? I mean, this is probably the season to do it with how close everything is, but I am not getting on that bandwagon for a little while yet.
No, I haven't. I've liked their play a bit better though, as of recently. But yes, hard to move on them. Moving on to 30, that isn't moving. St. Louis Blues, team that ticks along. 4-3-3 in their last 10. They play all right. They just don't seem to get results. It
Mhm.
seems to be their trend. Their only win against Ottawa this week, and then losing to Boston and Anaheim, only scoring 3 goals in those 2 games. It's
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where they play well. They probably should put up more points, but they don't. And yeah, I just can't move on them.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think like their play is probably 30 worthy, but like they just can't get the results. And that's just going to hold you back. And it's such a tight standings this year. There's a lot of teams that are very mid around this area. And speaking of one of those mid teams, you got Buffalo at 29 for me.
Buffalo at 29, 29 as well.
Yeah, look, guys, just they're just so up and down. They're Jekyll and Hyde. I think they went 1-2 this week. They had a started off great win against Winnipeg, and then they finished it with a terrible loss against Winnipeg. It just perfectly sums up Buffalo Sabres and their franchise.
Yeah, that's how they've been for the last 10 years. It's kind of sad that it's still trending in that direction. But yeah,
Yeah,
not too
100%.
much to like. Their highs on that good highs, horrible lows.
Yeah.
On to my 28, not moving. Calgary Flames. They just seem,
Yeah, they stay the same for me.
yeah, they just seem to be trucking along like 6-3-1 in their last 10. Like it's
Hmm.
not too bad. The play's not bad. It's not always getting the results. Like they lose 5-1 to Nashville this week. It wasn't great. OT loss against Carolina. Could have gone either way. There was no goals scored in regulation. How boring for fans. Like think of the fans,
Yep,
guys. Um,
I know, right?
but yeah, Minnesota Wild win, a Utah win. It's on the up. I just needed to see other teams be a little bit worse ahead of them,
Yeah.
and they weren't. So that's why I haven't moved on them yet.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stronger teams that have started to have good, like a couple of good weeks, and that's going to hold Calgary back because I think the jury's still out on them with how badly they started. All right, 28 for me, not moving. The Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, 27.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in this team, honestly. It's a team that I had some high hopes for, but they seem to have just slipped straight back to that typical Utah Arizona franchise where they give you a little bit of hope and then they just fall right back to their old play style. Um, I think they can turn it around, but it is disappointing with how they started and how they are now.
Yeah. No, you summed it up. They've just been trending slowly in the wrong direction, and I think if you looked at our graphs for the year, it's probably like this, just constantly going down, or
Yep.
yeah, like that. Um, so it's hard with cameras sometimes being inverted, but yeah. On to 26 for me. I have the Chicago Blackhawks.
Ooh, I don't think I'm that. No, no, it's all right. 23. I thought I
It's
was
that all right. All
higher.
right. Thanks for your approval on my ranking. Um,
Oh no, I actually thought for some reason I was much higher on the Blackhawks, but yeah, I'm not that much lower.
yeah, same
I'm not that
movement.
much higher.
-2. Look, they beat Anaheim, shootout loss against Vegas, beat LA, and then they lose 6-0 to LA.
Two.
Um, is it a bit of a stomping? They go to shootout against Vegas. Vegas is always going to OT. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like the sense, the gut feeling is that the play's been worse. They're on a slight slide, and that's why I'm just a little bit more down on them.
Mm,
It's kind of one of those like intruistic things that you see, and I don't think they have a good last 10 either. I think it's like
mm,
3-5-2 in the last
yeah.
10, and that's kind of
I
how they've been.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think that they're necessarily playing bad or on a slide. I think they're just course correcting. I think where they were, if you have a look at their stats, like it's heavily carried by how Bedard's playing. Spencer Knight in net. I think it was always going to slip a little bit. Like they weren't, there was no way they were going to maintain this run. So I'm not actually angry at this. I think this is a bit of course correction. You don't want to be that team that like finishes 17th in a year that you should still be really poor and then sort of miss out on a good draft pick that can help bolster your rebuild. I still think they're a few draft picks away from being, top notch and in playoff contention. So I don't hate this for them.
Hmm.
All right, my 27. Who do I have there? Oh, a team that should not be anywhere near here. The Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, my 25.
Holy Jeebus, man. I knew Connor Hellebuck was important to him, but Jesus, man. Like this is yeah, like they've gone from being one of the better teams in the NHL, one of the better defensive teams in the NHL to just I don't even know what to make of it. They're just non-existent. They're getting blown out.
The D doesn't
Yeah,
look good.
it's
It's
the
crazy
D looks horrible.
the difference from last
Um,
year.
yeah, like they can't score. Like it's just, yeah, I don't know. The Jets, I just don't know what's happened. What is this? Is this finally the fall down that we expected to happen? 2 seasons ago, before Shifley and Hellebuck re-signed. I don't know, but yeah, it's been horrible for the last probably 2 to 3 weeks now.
Alrighty, on to my 24. I have the San Jose Sharks.
Oh yeah, they're my number one. Nah, they're
Ooh.
21 for me.
All right, he's gone big, guys. Um,
Yep,
nah.
big.
So look, they start out the week 6-3 win against Utah, lose 7-1 to the Caps, 4-1 to Dallas, and outshot by -50 in 3 games. It's look not great. Some of their play hasn't been that bad. I'm
No,
just have it's kind of like the Chicago where it's just been on a slow trend
decline.
downwards, and that's how I feel. That's why they only move -1 for me.
Mhm,
I feel like it's a really solid area around this 24 mark for San Jose because they play well,
mhm.
but sometimes just don't get the results, and that was a big blowout by Washington.
Yeah, that I think it's that course correction again. And yeah, like the Washington game wasn't great. I will point out the Dallas game though, like it 4-1 looks bad, but it was one all with 5 minutes to go, and San Jose Sharks were playing extremely well. So, um, yeah, I think they're a really good young team, but again, I like Chicago. I think this is just a course correction. Um, I still think it's a lot of positivity for these San Jose Sharks. All right, on to my 24. Oh no, sorry, 25. I'm 25, my bad. Seattle Kraken.
Whew. Wow. I still am 18,
I
even though
went
I,
back,
I, I,
man.
I
Like,
don't I don't like their play, but
well, I
it's
just
one of those things.
Look, all I can say is seven regulation wins, Jaden. Seven regulation wins. That is all that they've had.
It's
Um,
2025. Catch up with the times. You don't need regulation wins, boys. Just go OT,
sorry,
win
my
half of
bad.
them,
I forgot.
win half in OT, lose the
I
rest in
forgot,
OT,
man.
and you're fine. You're playoffs.
Pretty much. Look, they're on track for 21 regulation wins for the season. Yeah, look, I just haven't liked their play of late, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And, their defense isn't looking as good. Their goaltending has started to be lit up like we've seen in previous years. It's just not heading in the right direction. And the things that were keeping them in games and getting them results previously just doesn't seem to be there at the moment. So I'm a little bit worried for them.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of cause for concern, especially the 9-4 loss against the Oilers. The 4-5-1 in the last 10, 4 losses straight. It's on a decline. Definitely out the top 16 easily. I do
Yeah.
think they turn it around though. Personally, going on to 23 for me, I have Toronto.
Ooh. Yeah, see, this is a team I've actually gone quite high on. They're in my top 16. Nah. 19 for me. I'm not that crazy.
Wow, Toronto fans, get him. All right, yeah, 5-3-2 in their last 10. Look, they're bouncing back. It's starting to look
Mhm.
good. They were really bad for really long. 2-1 this week, beating Florida 4-1. 5-1 win against Carolina, and then going to shootout against Montreal and losing the extra point.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, they're looking better. I'm still definitely not sold on them. I do
Yeah.
think it does fall away, but it look getting Matthews back and been helping out. Nyes has looked really good with some really crazy goals.
Domi's
It's
finally playing wing rather than center.
it's amazing when you play players where they should play and they play well. Who would
Who
have
knew,
thought?
Jaden?
I
Who
think
knew?
Domi with his size, he should be a goaltender. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's
that's
probably why I'm
exactly.
not coach. Hey.
Well, I mean, look, they might need him to goaltend because they've got no Joseph Wall or Stolas at the moment. So
Hmm.
I think Dennis Hildeby is the one in net, and
He's
they'll need a backup.
he's looked
He's
good
looked really
for a
good.
third string goaltender. He's looked very good.
For a team that didn't have goaltending for so long to now have three solid goaltenders, it's impressive for him, that's for sure. All right, 24 for me. Uh, Reigning back-to-back champions, the Florida Panthers,
Ooh,
in a spot of bother.
they're my 19.
Ooh, we still holding
This
high
where you
on
can
them.
see my 18 to like 25, something like that, is
Oh,
very close.
mate, just like the standings, the
Mm,
there's like a 1 point separates this entire list.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but I just they're not getting the results and they're slipping further and further down the standings. And I know they're injured. And I know all of that's happening, but at some stage to make the playoffs and to actually get there, they do have to start winning games and they do start have to they have to go on runs. But it's just not happening at the moment and they just yeah, like they're week in week out they're either at 500 or just under 500 and that is just it's not going to be enough to get them in the playoffs. And I think it's going to continue to wane on them through the season and yeah, I'm a bit worried for them.
Yeah, the problem is they're just not getting enough OT points. Look, 11 of their wins are regulation wins out of 13. So just go to OT more and lose more,
Poor.
and you're in the top 16. It's how this season is, really. It's
100%.
kind of stupid, but yeah, on a slide, I still don't mind their play. It's just not obviously the Florida that we would expect.
Mm.
On to 22, Canadian team here, Edmonton Oilers.
Ooh, yeah, they're my 18, I think. No, 20, sorry, 20.
Yeah. So 5-4-1 last 10. Won their last two. Definitely looking better, getting the
Hmm.
results. Getting a lot of high scoring games in regards to goals as well. As I say that, 0-1 loss against the Wild. But we'll move on to Seattle Kraken 9-4 win, then a 6-2 win against the Jets. I haven't moved as high on them yet. is just because I do think they're playing well, but they beat Jets and Seattle, and those two
Aren't
teams
playing well.
have not been playing well. So and they played well against Wild. Wild on a slight slide as well. So I want to see a team, like the Avs or something, and they trounce them to really see that, make sure that
You
this is the
you want to
Oilers.
see these big performances against good teams.
Yeah,
You don't even need to see a trouncing, but if they beat the Avs 4-2, that would be a really positive
but
game.
but we see this in the Pacific where they just feed off teams that are starting
Yeah,
to suck, and or just in the West in general. And
yeah,
meanwhile, you got Metro, who has basically 8 teams that could be in the top 16. So
yeah, it's wild. Speaking of one of those Metro teams, though, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets as my 22.
21.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I still think that like this team is gonna be, I think, around this mark all year. I'm not quite sure that they're good enough to get through that Metro, which is the
It.
biggest problem. Like
I think it's a
they're
dice roll. Yeah.
what are they? They're eighth in the Metro, um, which is just wild because they're a 571 points percentage, and they're eighth in the Metro. Like it's just,
Yep.
yeah, I don't mind their play, but as I've said week in, week out, it's very Jekyll and Hyde. You just don't know what you're going to get. It's very inconsistent, and it continues to be that. So they move up a couple of spots for me with a reasonable week, but I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to make the playoffs. I think this is going to be they're going to be tight, but it'll be probably 5-6 points out of a wild card spot for me.
Yep. All right, on to 20 for me. Detroit Red Wings.
I think
And
they're sitting just in my top 16. Yeah, they are.
they have a 2-1 week, 5-4 win against Boston. Good win. Go to shootout against Columbus and lose that extra point. And then a 4-3 win against Seattle. So honestly, not the hardest of weeks, but really good
Mhm.
results in regards to points. They've been performing better, especially this week. But they still are 4-4-2 in their last 10. It's how
Yep.
they've had a little bit of a slide in the last 2 weeks, and negative 11 in goal differential. It's just yeah, basically like Columbus. That's why they're partnered. Just um, and that's how it
Yep.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just very Jekyll and Hyde. I actually punished a team, which you'll hear about in a minute, but yeah, I um, I just had to kick this team out. That's why they're in this top 16. I don't think Detroit quite deserve top 16, but I just had to do it to this team. My 18, a team coming up out of nowhere, the New York Rangers.
All right, they're my 14.
Oh, he's gone big on them. Look,
Oh, I don't, yeah, big, but
oh,
yeah.
you were a lot higher on them last week than I
Mm,
was, but I I've liked their play and it's definitely improved. It's just they were so poor to start the season. Their offense was terrible to start the season, and I'm a little bit reserved on that. So I think if they have another good week, they'll definitely be in the top 16 come next week. But at the moment, yeah, I have to hold on them for a little bit just to make sure that this isn't just like a they went on an away trip and they won some games. So as soon as they get back to home, they're going to go back to losing.
mm.
Um, but you
No,
know they got 5 from 6 points.
yeah. Look, this is probably one of my happiest positions for a team. Like, it was just
Mm,
solid, and it's just because how everything flowed and it just fell in that spot, and it felt perfect. So
mm,
I'm really happy to have them at 14. It just worked that way, and like you said, they're bringing it back to the ranges that we were expecting. The Metro
yeah,
needs to start calming down. You can't have 8 teams doing this. Uh,
yeah, I know, right?
because as I'm about to reveal, only Columbus is the one Metro team in my rankings outside the top 16 in power rankings, which is stupid.
Hmm.
On to 17, not a Metro team, Ottawa.
Oh, they're my 15.
Yeah, this team just been kind of like Detroit, Columbus, just Seattle, Florida, just kind of following that slow decline. Um, and look, 4-6 in their last 10, -5 goal differential. Last two games they've lost this week. I'll just get it. So they 6-1 loss against Dallas, 16 shots. 5-2 win against Montreal, 2-4 loss against New York Rangers, and then losing to St. Louis, even though you doubled their shots. Um, and that seems to be a very consistent thing that Ottawa do throughout the years, is they will outshoot their opponents substantially and lose the game.
And lose.
It's a little trend I've noticed for them for over the last few years. It seems to be a
Yeah,
thing they do, and yeah, I was just on a slight slide, kind of warranted to be at the top 16 for me.
yeah. Um, well, I'd had this team in the top 16, my 17 here, up until about probably 5 minutes before we started this video. And I had enough of them. And I think that, just because you got a couple of injuries, you can't keep losing the way you are. And on a five slider, it's the New Jersey Devils.
I just filled it in.
100%.
I
Like
knew who you're talking about.
it had to be.
This is why, like, the top 16, like at the bottom end of this top 16, it's not strong. It's not a strong top
No,
16.
no, because I could make perfect cases for them to be below the Rangers, Leafs, Oilers, Sharks with the way
y-
they're playing.
yeah,
I could make cases for them to be above Detroit and Senators like you have. Um, I don't think they're playing terribly. I think they've been in just about every game they've lost, but um,
yeah. They play
it's a
40 minutes and then they don't play another 20, and that 20
well,
is a horrible AHL level 20.
to be honest, man, sometimes it's 55 minutes and they have 5 minutes of the worst hockey you'll ever see. They concede two, three, four goals that they shouldn't concede, and they just can't peg it back. And yeah, it's just every goal they seem to concede is just rookie mistakes that they shouldn't be
Yeah.
making, because it's not their rookies that are making them. Um, yeah,
I will
look,
say
I
this
know
is
they've got
probably one of
injuries.
the worst teams consistently for the season, statistically
Hmm.
wise, 5-on-5.
Yeah,
In regards to goals, and it kind of shows in this slide now. Um,
yeah.
that that is why it's happening, and they need to find that they don't get good shots. They might put up 30 shots, but those 30 shots are
Well,
not good. Half the other shots are blocked. They need to get
they're
quality. So
They're 0-5 in their last 5 games, and they've outshot every team they've played.
yeah, it's just the
And
quality of shots.
they've scored 1 goal in their last 3. So,
All
yeah,
right.
like, yeah.
On to 15 for me. I have the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, look, they're 11 for me. They moved up a little bit.
Jeez. This
I
guy's been
know.
harsh on you guys. Oh, yeah. And now all of a sudden he's coming to kiss your butt. Nah. Look, they only
I'm
play.
still harsh on them, mate. I don't like it.
No, they only played 2 games this week. A shootout win against Chicago, and then a 3-0 win against New Jersey Devils. Look, they move up 4 just because the other teams have been sliding, and they
It's
are
pretty
playing.
much why they moved up for
Yeah,
me.
like they're playing a little bit better. 5-2-3 in the last 10, won the last 3. But look, shootout win, and then beating New Jersey on a sliding New Jersey. I didn't I couldn't push them any higher. I really couldn't, um, even if I tried.
Mhm.
So I'm surprised you have them that high. But yeah, you were higher on them last week as well.
I was, yeah, and I think there was a couple other teams below them that just haven't quite performed well enough to overtake them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but they have like
Um,
8 overtime shootout lost
oh,
points.
it's
Like
it's
it's
horrible.
it's one of those
And
seasons where some teams just don't probably deserve to be where they are in regards to point standing wise.
yeah,
Yeah,
and to be fair, they got a shootout win, right? Again, the game against the Devils, they won 3-0, but realistically, that Timo Meyer goal that I don't know how got wiped off the board for offside makes no sense. Didn't like all the rules say it's a goal. If that stands, they probably go to overtime again in that game because it was 1-0 right up until the end. Like, they just can't win in regulation. I know they obviously did, but they just, yeah, like they, and a team that can't win in regulation is going to struggle come playoffs because like you don't get 3-on-3 in shootouts come playoffs. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I definitely have my issues with them, but they're getting the results. That's the tough part. All right, on to my 14. I have the Montreal Canadiens, which I just don't like having them here.
Yeah. 13 and same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sold that they're a 14 or a 13 in the rankings. Like they were really good to start the season, but they've been like not they've been a lot worse as of late. They had a reasonable week this week. I think they went 2-1 this week, but yeah, it's just not the same level of
Yeah, well, two of those both
Canadians.
those wins were shootout wins. Like it could have easily
Yeah.
been a 0-3. Like
Mm,
that's why I didn't move on them. It was just New Jersey slid that far.
yeah.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why Vegas, like they are where they are because I couldn't put the Canadians above them. I couldn't put the other two teams that are there above them. It's just yeah. This is a really terrible outside of the top 10, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it doesn't start getting good to quite close to the top 10 anyway.
Yep.
In regards to 12, LA Kings.
Yeah, they're my 13, and I'm not sold on these guys either.
The reason I'm not sold on them, but I think they've still been one of the most consistent teams against like being competitive every game. They might not get the results, but they are competitive, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
why they would do well if they make playoffs.
Hmm.
Because and they got Scory Perry, so but they're guaranteed a certain position. We all know what it is.
Yep.
But look, 1-2 in the week. Obviously, coming up against the Capitals, who are hot, lose that game. Lose against Chicago. Probably shouldn't be losing that. And then they go and rectify it and destroy them 6-0.
Mm.
So it's kind of one of those teams that they're always in it, no matter who they're versing, whether it's number one team or if it's number 32 team, they're always in it, but they just don't always get the result. Um, and that's why I've moved down on them just one spot at the moment.
Yep.
Two, if you can consider
Yep.
New Jersey slide.
Yeah. All right. Number 12 for me, coming back up a little bit here, Pittsburgh Penguins.
I went a little higher. This is an interesting one. They're
Ooh,
9 for me. It's
9. Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't
it,
hate that.
it was a big
Um,
move, but it was like it felt weird, but it didn't feel weird. It was yeah, it's an interesting one.
you pretty much moved the same as what I did
Hmm.
in the end. So yeah, but I just like they burnt us already this year. So I was very hesitant on moving them here because I'm like, what if next week they go 0-3 or 0-4 and they're straight back down?
Well, yeah, +7
Um,
and +6 for two playing only 2 games. They won both,
yeah,
but only 2 games. But
yeah,
quality
yeah.
opponents as well.
They are, and yeah, look, they've been playing some good hockey, but the problem is that they've played some poor hockey as well, and
Mm,
lost some games that they shouldn't.
yeah,
So yeah,
it's
like I'm not fully sold. I want to get on the bandwagon because I'd love to see Crosby back in the playoffs, but I'm not sold just yet, and I'm not going to get on the bandwagon
yeah.
too hard.
I think they're like New Jersey. Very similar in the sense they have a really good and very high high, but
Hmm.
they have a very low bottom.
Low,
Um,
yeah,
they're consistently above average, but when
yeah,
they hit that high high, they're one of the best teams in the league. And
yeah.
but they can really crap the bed. On to my number 11, just outside the top 10, dropping out to Minnesota Wild.
Hmm.
Yeah, I went
Yeah,
a
do you know what? That's fair. I went 9 for me.
yeah, yeah. I had them around this ballpark. It just I don't know, 11 just felt right. 1-0 win against the Oilers, and then two horrible losses 4-1 to
Yeah,
Calgary, 4-2 to Vancouver. You can't be doing that. Obviously, they've been on a really big tear for a while now, 7-2 and 1 in their last 10. But those two losses were very, very bad. And
yeah.
if they got their act together, they would have had a 3-0 week, and they'd be in the top 5 probably. But
Mm.
yeah, that's a really big setback. Those two losses.
Honestly, they win both those games. They're probably top 3 for me. Being honest with you, but yeah, like I normally when I see a team do what they've done and go 1-2, I'm not that quick to move down on them. But they were two horrible losses.
Yeah,
Like, I know the Flames have been playing better, but you can't be losing 4-1 to the Flames and 4-2 to the Canucks. Like, it's,
yeah. The Canucks one
yeah,
sealed it and made the
yeah,
Calgary one look worse. that's
yeah,
that's for me. Yeah,
100%. All right, number 10 for me, I have the Boston Bruins.
yeah. They're my 8.
Ooh, interested to see who you have
I
as
just didn't
10.
move on them. Oh, you didn't move on them either.
I'm just checking. I'm making sure that I definitely did have them as number 10 because I panicked
Yeah.
there for a second. Um, yeah, look, 2-1 on the week again. Good 4-1 win against the Devils. Um, the 5-2 win against the Blues, who they should be winning, and a close 4-5 loss against the Detroit Red Wings. I just I constantly feel like this is going to come unstuck for them. Obviously, you look at the performances from their defense. Jeremy Swayman's playing well. Morgan Geekie is scoring at an unreal pace, and it kind of feels like an unrealistic pace, like he's going to regress at some point. And that could be where they sort of lose some traction. So I don't want to get hopes up for Boston being at this spot all season, because I could see them moving back, but at the same time, I could see them going even higher if they can keep it going.
Alrighty. My number 10, the Philadelphia Flyers, still
Yeah, they're
chilling,
my 8.
still chilling in the top 10.
Hmm.
Like the Pens, they only had the 2 games this week, and they lost to the Pens, 5-1, and then they beat Buffalo 5-2. So I didn't really, you know, move up down on them. I just moved Pittsburgh because I think they have a higher high when they play their
Yep.
game, and that's why Pittsburgh leapfrogged them that one position. It wasn't just warranted on that one game that they versed each other
Mm.
and Pittsburgh won. Um, and and yeah, like they're still one of the most consistent teams I would say, with alongside LA. Just every game they're in it, and if you're versing Philly, you know you're in for a hard night. So
Yeah.
very consistent.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, number 7 for me, I have the Anaheim Ducks moving down a couple of spots, but I still think they're playing some really good hockey at the moment, and it's hard to say that they're not going to be playoff bound at this point. They went 2-2 on the week. They did have an absolute monster loss 7-0 against the Utah Mammoth. Um, Honestly, I'm just going to peg that down to the Ducks team missed their bus and they fielded some random AHL team. Um, because it was just such a weird loss, and to happen against Utah, who have been on a massive slide and their sort of gameplay hasn't been great, was a bit odd to see. So I, they drop a couple of spots for me, but I'm still pretty confident in this Ducks team this season.
Yeah, I like their play. I feel like it's been on a slow slide. Um, just I don't know. That's like the gut feeling for me when I like think of the Anaheim Ducks. Their last 10's not that bad though. Like 6-4 in the
They're
last 10.
six, yeah,
It's still top 10 worthy in regards to play for the year and everything. They're still playing right, but I just feel like it's almost like the Sharks and Utah and all of it. Just a little slow
course
slide,
correction.
course correction, back to the old Pacific where they're at the bottom. Nah,
Mm.
cooling it
Yeah,
now. All right.
the difference between the Ducks and the Sharks and the Blackhawks is, I think the Ducks course correction is a wild card spot, whereas I think the Sharks and the Blackhawks is more of a like
Yeah.
bottom 10.
Nah, Ducks have the
So
better team.
yeah,
Um, in regards to number 6, Tampa Bay Lightning. Ooh,
yeah, they're my
slide down.
5.
Yeah, I went a little harder on them, and it was
You hard
warranted.
bastard.
It was warranted. They were 0-3 for the week, though they outshot their
They were.
opponents plus 29. And look, 1-2 loss to the Islanders, 3-4 loss to Pittsburgh, 0-2 loss to the Islanders in every game. Three
Yep.
hard opponents. It's the Metro. Basically, Metro just doing Metro things to you. And
Yep.
look, it's a small slide. Still a very strong team. Very confident with them. Um, I don't think they slide too much further. And like I
No,
said, really hard schedule. That
yeah, yeah, 100%. And they played good teams. And speaking of one of those good teams, I did consider doing the good old, well, you beat them twice, so you can go ahead of them. But I held back because I do think the Tampa Bay are a little bit stronger. But New York Islanders, my number six.
yeah. Uh,
Damn, dude. Who knew getting one first overall pick could turn you from a you need a bloody rebuild and do it now to "Yeah, maybe you don't. Maybe your rebuild's done."
uh, I mean, Pittsburgh can tell you that. Oilers can tell you that. But yeah.
True. But
And
yeah.
that's what the
It's,
Islanders are starting to look like, isn't it? It's looking like a dynasty, like kind of like the Pittsburgh did. Um,
well,
starting
I mean,
starting to
you
brew.
look at how hard this week was for them, right? So break this down. They lose to the Caps 4-1. And you could think, and they outshot the Caps as well, which is crazy. But you could have thought, okay, you lose 4-1, hard game, Caps are really good. You then got to go play the Lightning, Avs, and Lightning. You've probably got the three most informed teams in the Caps, Lightning, and Avs this week alone. And you started poorly. They then back it up with a 2-1 win against Tampa, a 6-3 win against Colorado Avalanche, handing them their first regulation loss in God knows how long, and then another 2-0 win against Tampa Bay. So that is a week from hell, and they've come out with 6 from 8 points.
Yeah,
Like this team is just on fire.
yeah, and it was really that the Avs game, obviously, that really solidified like they are a team that is showing up, and
Yeah,
they're very consistent, very strong, hard to beat, fun to watch, and looks good. Uh, and Metro needs to calm down. All right, on to four, another Metro team, Carolina Hurricanes.
yeah, same here.
Don't move to me. Just very consistent team. Just constantly doing their thing, waiting for playoffs. Plus 28 in shot differential this week. Of course they are because it's the Canes. They outshoot you all the time. Uh, Flames did keep them to 17 shots, but they win that game in OT. They lose 1-5 to Toronto. Beat Nashville 6-3, almost doubling their shots. They just keep tracking along, getting the points. Their last 10, 5-3-2 doesn't look great, but everything else is just consistently strong. And
Yeah,
yeah, I still don't think they'll falter. They'll probably be top 10 for the rest of the season, and then it's just waiting for playoffs.
yeah, yeah, 100%. All right. Third on my list is a team that was probably like 26th only 3 or 4 weeks ago, and now they're third. Washington Capitals. We did say that we didn't think that 26 would be forever. And it definitely isn't because now they're looking like one of the best teams in the NHL again. Yeah, massive turnaround.
Yeah, a plus 10 goal differential with negative 22 shots on goal. It's pretty
Yeah.
insane. And 3 wins out of 4. Beating the Islanders, who we just talked about being really
Hmm.
good, beating LA, destroying San Jose 7-1 on a back-to-back,
Hmm.
and then shootout loss, which is it's shootout against
Yep.
Anaheim. It
But their defense is really good as well. Like you look at those first 3 games, one goal, one goal, one goal. Like they're not getting blown out. Yes, they conceded 3 goals to the Ducks, but the Ducks have a lot of firepower. Um, yeah, it's just they seem to be solid all round again. They're getting good goaltending, good defense, and they get obviously getting good offense as well. So
Yeah, they're getting
it's
some
all
great
clicking at the
production.
right time.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%. Ovi's back to his scoring ways as well, which is great to see. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I think he's scoring because a couple of the other players are playing really really well, and it
mhm,
just it just makes it easier on him. But
yeah,
yeah, everything seems to be clicking for Washington at the moment. On to number 2, Dallas Stars,
yeah,
just the +1 position for the week. Just very consistent. One of the teams keeps trucking along. 3-1 for the week, beating Ottawa 6-1. OT loss against the Rangers. Then on a back-to-back, shutting out New Jersey Devils, and then a 4-1 win against San Jose. They just keep getting it done. They're maximizing points. It's just a really strong team. Haskinen's great. The forward group's great. They're playing a really good, like they do a lot of tic tac toe in the offense that seems to uh, disconjoin defenses, and it seems to be working. And the way they're doing their rotations,
Hmm.
and I'm interested to see if teams start figuring it out or not. But at the moment, it's working, and yeah, they look good. And they
Yeah,
they
they do.
rarely cough up, at least against New Jersey Devils game, like bad shots. Like
Mm.
it's making the goaltending's job a
They
lot easier.
Yeah, they keep you to the outside. They block shots. They keep you away from anything in tight.
Mm.
And they've also just on the flip side, they've got a good knack of getting in your inside when they get to the offensive zone. So, yeah, it's really interesting to see a team that can box out so well be on the other end of it, be able to get in there so easily and sort of get in front of the net as easy as they do. So yeah, they're performing really well at the moment. I know this is getting boring, guys, but for the umpteen millionth week in a row, number one is the Colorado Avalanche. But look, guys, they had their second regulation loss this week, so who knows?
Islanders are knocking on the door now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've been there's a chink in their armor. They've been shown that they're not invincible. But I mean, yeah, what can you say? Like they have one loss, you're not going to hold it against them. They still walk out of the week with 4 points of six. They're still the strongest team in the NHL at the moment. Um, yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about the Colorado Avalanche. I think
Nah. Plus
it's all
48
pretty
goal
much summed up.
differential, 8-1-1 last 10. Just trucking along. It's really
Hmm.
doesn't really matter how they go for the rest of the season. Like you'd have to
Yeah.
crap the bed on extraordinary circumstances to really ruin the season. So it's just
Mhm.
thinking about playoffs now, and how they can maximize the trade deadline to ever better their advantages going into playoffs. Because yeah, like they're already at 46 points. You could probably say they're halfway there. Generally 92 points. You're wild carding it. You're on the borderline. So 28 games and then halfway there. It's
Yeah.
kind of there. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, kind of boring. Stop being good. Give
We
us
want some movement. Come on, God.
um, yeah, let us know what you think of our power rankings, guys. Who you like better, mine, Nick's. Leave a comment of your power rankings if you wish. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. But till next time, we'll catch you guys.
Bye, guys.